Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on the Audi TT Mk1, and we've had a report from the other half that the red oil can symbol came up on the dashboard. This means low oil pressure. Normally this is the time to panic and pull over to the side of the road and worry about buying a new engine, but well, the engine wasn't making any noises, it wasn't getting any hotter. Everything kind of pointed to the fact that this was a sensor problem rather than the common problem on these engines is the oil pickup pipe that's in the sump. There's like a gauze, metal gauze in the pickup pipe, and over time that picks up detritus and sludge to the point where it starves the engine of oil. Now this car, even though it's a 2006, has only done 40,000 miles. It's been quite pampered, so I suspected that that wasn't the case. Nothing about the engine said it was being starved of oil. So she pulled in at the next services and checked the oil level. Oil level was within normal limits. I told her over the phone, wait 10 minutes and then check the oil again, and the level of the oil in the sump went up. So that kind of told me, well, the oil was somewhere, and I assume it was in the engine. So the oil pump's working, it's circulating the oil. We can discount the pickup pipe. So she completed her journey and then came back all the way from Leeds, which is, like 100 miles away, without any issues. Now today I'm going to change the oil sensor, which is this gadget here. It's only got one connector. The other one I presume is done through the earth where this bolts into the engine. It is in a tricky place to get to. Well, tricky, awkward is probably better. I've taken the engine cover off this thing, and then in front of the intake is this plastic thing which sits kind of here. This actually goes underneath these pipes, and it's got these little clips in where you twist them a quarter turn anti-clockwise and then just pop up. Very carefully lift that out. I've also, because a lot of the videos on YouTube say you have to take all this intake off, which is a huge job and completely unnecessary in my opinion. I've taken this little plate. There's a metal plate with two little Allen bolts holding them in. I've since found that you can actually get to it without this, but to be honest, I don't think I would have seen it without moving this out of the way. You can move this out of the way now and you can see down the gap. Now, it could be a bit of a challenge to show you where it is, but if you look in the gap, there is a big aluminium piece down where my finger's pointing, to the right of where the dipstick tube is, and that is essentially the housing for the oil filter. So if you've ever done an oil filter on this car, you'll know what I'm talking about. And where is it? Oh, I can't even see it from here. The oil pressure sensor is fastened into the side of that. So it's in disorientation, plugged in, and a little wire connected to it going into the loom. Now let me see if I can even get to it. I don't know. I mean, I can see it glistening away down there because I've just taken the connector off and the connector is full of oil, which indicates to me that the diaphragm in the oil pressure sensor has failed. Now, can you see right in the middle of this picture there is a black shiny thing, and to the left of the shiny thing is a nut. That's the sensor. Now this is kind of the wrong way around because I've had to twizzle the camera around to get you to see it, but the black piece is horizontal. As you're looking at the car and the engine, that is the horizontal to the engine. So you can actually find it quite easily with your hands. There's one wire leading to the end of it that's got a plug on it, and then you'll probably have to feel the nut at the other end. Now, as with all Audis, getting the connector up is a nightmare. So I've drawn a beautiful picture for you to look at. So if this is the oil pressure sensor, if I put the real one there, over the top of this black body is a connector, and on one side there is, you can feel it with my finger, I don't know if you can even see it, there's a little hook on there which is indicated on my diagram by that little hook there. And as with a lot of Audi connectors, there is a little gate kind of sitting over the hook, which if you press the end of it, lifts up, and then you can pull it off easily. If you try and pull this off, never get it off. People fiddle about with screwdrivers. You don't need to. All these connectors on these modern European cars are designed to be taken off with your hands. So you have to push down on that back one. You'll find a flat piece here with two raised pieces. You want to go for the back one. Push that down, that will raise up the little gate that's sitting over this hook, and then you can just slide that off. Comes off easy as anything. Now inside that connector, as I've said before, I've discovered it's full of oil. Shouldn't be any oil in there, so that's come from this failed sensor. There's a diaphragm in here, I'm assuming, that's reading the pressure, and then an electrical connector giving us some kind of resistance reading, I would assume, to tell the engine whether there's enough oil pressure or not. So we need to take this out. Now, it's quite big. A normal socket is not going to fit off that. So I bought a special long reach socket. It's 24mm. Let me show you it. So, from the lovely Halfords. You might not like Halfords, I'm not too impressed with them, but their socket sets are fabulous quality, mainly because they're all made by Snap-on. Right, so this is 24mm long reach, and it'll easily go over this sensor with room to fit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this over the old one, take it off, screw this one in. Now the connector on mine, the wire doesn't look to be particularly good where it goes into the sensor, kind of on this bit here. So I might have to put some electrical tape or something like that to make it good. First of all, we'll get this swapped. So essentially I'm going to put the socket over the old one, undo it, swivel this one in, tighten it up, and then we'll look at the connector. Right, so I managed to get it out, and you need this kind of arrangement. So the socket is on the sensor, then you need a twirly knuckle thing, a bit of an extension, and then you ratchet. It's not in that tight, probably 20 or 30 foot-pounds. This is absolutely covered in oil, and all oil inside where the electricals are, which isn't a good sign. So this has obviously failed. Now I've screwed the new one in by hand. You can just feel the hole, screw that one in. I just need to tighten it up again with this arrangement. I'm going to clean all the inside of the socket that's on the end of the cable. I've got some contact cleaner spray, this stuff, service oil. Clean all in that, dry it all out, and then essentially we just plug the connector on the sensor and we should be good to go, apart from tidying up the engine bay with the bits that we took off. Right, so let's have a go. Well, that's the new sensor in, it's tightened up. I've cleaned the inside of the electrical connector with some service oil, and then I cleaned all the oil and gunge out of it with a Q-tip or a cotton bud, as you say. Blew it out with some air that I've got in a can, like this. It's nice and dry, plugged it back on, started the engine. We've got no warnings or of any kind, so let's hope that's cured the issue. I mean, it looks pretty obvious from that sensor. I mean, it's covered in oil, so that isn't normal. Right, so all I've got to do now is fasten this metal bracket back on with the two Allen bolts and refit the covers, which is, unfortunately on this engine, this cover has got the pins in, but over the years the Audi techs have lost all the ones on here, so it's fastened on with cable ties, which looks lovely. So I'll have to get some of them. I'm sure they're on eBay for a few pennies. But that's pretty much it. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that kind of good stuff. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.